I've always been interested in what factors go into people deciding what sanctionals to go to. And it sounds like before you were just kind of like, how many can I do? Hopefully I strike gold in one of them. Have you put any thought into next year, a strategy going into picking a sanctional or sanctionals to do?
So there were kind of like two ways that I want to think about it was things like, oh, I guess three. One would be in terms of which one do I think are most competitive. Two would be in terms of which ones I could, like, it might not be as popular, but is there like prize money involved? So like this past year, I qualified, I did that, the online qualifier. So it qualified me for Wadapalooza, the Filthy 150, and Atlas Games. I declined the Atlas Games because it was like a week or two after Wadapalooza, and I knew I'd be smoked. So, um, like, I'll probably hit things like that because it gives you a bunch of options from a single, test. Again, so that I'm not testing constantly throughout the year. And then the third one would be just new places to go to. So like how popular it is, prize money, and then where it is. So I've always wanted to go to Ireland, so that was kind of like 100%. If I can do this, I'm going to this one. Wadapalooza, I went and spectated last year, and that was my first time being at any sort of sanction or like big event like that outside of like local one like Southie. That's the biggest thing I'd ever been to. So this was my first like, all right, that's what it's like. So I spectated that, and I was like, all right, I want to go to Wadapalooza because that's the one to go to. So that qualifier for me was perfect because it's like Ireland, Wadapalooza. Those are the two things that I want to do anyways. So let's get that done together. I haven't really looked into next year's plan yet because again, I don't want to until I'm ready. Because I figure if I start looking or planning now on ones that we're assuming or hoping are going to be going on, then I'm going to start to get competitive again, and I'm not going to be training like I should. Like I'm hoping for the next 4 or 5 months at least, I'll just be training,
Hmm.
not thinking about competing or anything like that. Because in theory, if everything goes back to normal and we have a full season next year, I'll have plenty of time to figure those things out. And even if I miss the first big online qualifier, like they had this past year, the one for like Filthy 150 and Wadapalooza, even if I miss that one because I'm not ready yet, perfect. Like I shouldn't rush myself to just to get to these because by doing that, that's how I ended up where I'm at now. So I haven't really thought about which ones I'm gonna do, but when I do, it's probably gonna go for which ones you can earn the most money out of, and then it'll be new places for me. Um, it's not really going to be about like which one has the most competition because my goal is when I'm like ready, it's not going to matter. I'm going to be competitive no
Hmm.
matter which one I go to.
And what's ready going to look like for you? How do you know when you're going to be ready?
For me, it's a lot of feel. So like the last February Open that we had, that was right before Mid Atlantic, and like that's the last time that I genuinely feel like I was ready to like compete. I know that was over a year ago, and I've gotten a lot better since then. But like that kind of all cylinders firing, like some days you wake up and you're like, oh, I could push through a workout, but it's like it's not really there. And then other times, like you wake up and you're like, I could just burn everything down right now. Like nothing's gonna stop me. Like that feeling, that kind of like just ready to kill. I felt that going into that open. I crushed that open, even with a lot of weaknesses still that I've worked on since then, a lot of like gymnastics things, but I just felt like I was ready to go. And actually competing at Mid Atlantic, I don't think I was confident enough in my abilities and I could have done better. In my head, it was like, oh, I got to sanction. This is the only thing I cared about. Awesome. Let me just go and have fun. I had a lot of fun. But I think if I went with mentality of like, there's a reason you qualified and I got like seventh or I did well in the qualifier. It was like, there's a reason you did well in the qualifier. You're good enough. So go with the intent to actually attack and try and place. Don't just go. Uh, so like for me, that kind of like feeling that I had then, I think will be how I know I'm ready again. Because I'm always going to be working on the things that I need to work on, because I mean, that's just what you do. For me, biggest things are gymnastics and losing weight. Like I mentioned at the start, like I'm 225. That's way too heavy for this. So like every time I do a muscle up versus everyone else who's 185 pounds, it's a huge disadvantage. It
What do you
helps
think is an
me.
ideal weight for you?
I think if I can get down to like 205, I'll be fine. Because like when I'm 230 and I'm like, that's what I was when I was going into Wadapalooza. I'm just moving so slow. I'm strong, but it's just not a good strong. I notice a difference when I'm at like a real 220, not like a I just woke up and I'm dehydrated 220. It's, let's say my ring muscle ups will go from like a max of 8 to like a max of like 15. Like it's a huge difference just in that 10 pounds. Um, so like if I'm going down to like 210 or even like a 205, as long as I don't really lose too much strength, I think I'll be gold. Because I think I could afford to lose some strength to then have my gymnastics or all my other like lesser abilities be brought up. I mean, can't be a
Yeah,
one
it's
trick
almost
pony.
worth it to lose a few pounds on a lift to be a little more well-rounded.